Hello, and welcome to my video on knowing the basics of the Homebrew Package Manager, where the goal of the video is to understand the basics of Homebrew to ease the onboarding of the project. Homebrew, for people who don't know what it is a program to install and maintain packages on macOS. Packages include command line tools, program libraries such as the Boost libraries from C++, or graphics applications such as VLC, MVim. So an outline for the video is as follows. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to download and set up Homebrew right in your Mac. After that, I'm going to go over some Homebrew terminology, some definitions that actually trip up people with Homebrew. After that, I'm going to show you some core Homebrew commands that are used every day in my workflow. They're the core commands that you're going to use all the time. After that, I'm going to show you some recommended applications to install for the project for BreazeHome. Finally, I'm going to show you an example workflow of how to download and manage a package so you could do all the stuff yourself for the future. This is a very useful skill to have as a programmer, a Mac programmer, and hopefully everything you learn here will carry on into your future development workflow. So let's start with the Homebrew setup. The first step is to go to the Homebrew website. So this is how we do it. Open up your favorite web browser, Google Homebrew Mac. The first result should be Homebrew, the missing package manager for macOS. You click it. You'll see here that there's a script to install Homebrew. Double click it, Command C to copy, or however you would like to copy. You exit out the web browser. You open up your terminal by going to Launchpad and Googling and then searching terminal, and you open that. I'm not going to use that because I have my own terminal, so you just put it in your terminal as follows, like that. You press enter, and then it'll start downloading Homebrew, and it'll show you all these matrix-like letters going down saying, I'm downloading Homebrew. I'm not going to install it because I already have it, so there's no point in doing that. So once it's done, to check that you have installed it correctly, what I use is I do the man pages, which is the manual for the command line. I do man brew, and it should show you the manual for Homebrew, Brew, the missing package manager for macOS. This has shown that it has been successfully downloaded. Alright, once Homebrew has been set up successfully, there's a little bit of terminology that trips up people, or at least it tripped me up when I first started it. There are really two commands instead of one. The first one is brew, which is used to install command line tools such as vim and ls or ripgrep, ripgrep, or there's another tool called brewcask, which is used to install graphics applications. So they both have the same commands, but they both work for different purposes. So for example, let's say you want to install Python. You use brew to install Python. Or let's say you want to install VLC, a graphics application so you can watch any video you want. You're going to be using brewcask. I'm going to show you some examples of why this is important. So the next step is I'm going to show you some basic Homebrew commands. Alright, so the first one that is perhaps my most used command is the search functionality for Homebrew. And it's usually the first one I use when I'm looking for a package. Let's say I have a package in my mind that I want to download. In this case, I want to download the Boost C++ libraries. I've heard good things about it. So what I would do, since I know it's a command line tool, I'm going to use brew. I'm going to put search, and then I'm going to put boost, or any other keyword that's similar to boost. It doesn't have to be the exact package name. You press enter, and it will search, and right there is boost. That's what I'm looking for. So once you find it, you want to make sure that that is exactly what you want to download. So what you use is brew info boost. For this one, you have to have the exact package name. You press enter, and it shows you all the information you need to know. Boost, a collection of portable C++ source libraries, and it even has the website. And it also has the formula website so you can see how Homebrew downloads it, and it shows you the dependencies you need to satisfy in order to download this package, and with some advanced options for more advanced users. This looks like exactly what I need to have. So after that, I use Brew Install Boost. I'm not going to install it because it's a lengthy download, but that's how you install it. After that, you want to list to see if you have it. So you use Brew List, and it lists all the packages that you've already installed. Boost should be there. If I downloaded it, it would be right below auto config. And that's how you validate that you've downloaded a package and installed the package. After that, let's say you don't like Boost anymore. This is not what I liked. So what you use is Brew Uninstall Boost, and this should completely uninstall your package. But it also leaves some caches left in there, because just in case, like let's say I uninstall it but I really want it back, you don't want to go through that long download again. So it keeps a cache, so when you install it, it makes it easier to download. But sometimes you don't want the cache because it's it's resource intensive. So you want to run a command called brew cleanup, which removes the caches. And this is very useful because sometimes you have cache after cache. And one time I ran brew cleanup and I got gigs of memory back. Memory is important nowadays. So another thing that's important is brew upgrade. And what brew upgrade does is that it upgrades all your packages and it upgrades Homebrew itself. It is by far the most useful command out of all of them. And I use this all the time to make sure I have the most updated packages for my workflow. So yeah, some help. If you want to have detailed help, I would go with the man pages for Homebrew. Man brew. If you want to have very simple help, you would use Brew Help. And it will give you a very simple help that's about a page. So yeah, those are all the core commands of Homebrew. Now, for the next step is recommended applications for the project. So for the project, there's some applications that you need to have a successful onboarding, and I'm going to show you them. The first one that I found was pretty important was Skype, which is video calling software and chatting software. It's very important if you want to do remote meetings. So this is how you would download it. Brew, cask, install Skype. Why cask? It's because Skype is a graphics application. It's a GUI application. So that's why you would want to use cask. So this is how you would download Skype. Now there's another application that's not really mentioned in the wiki, but it's incredibly important, and I use it all the time for markdown editing. It's for editing markdown files, and it's called Markdown. For me, it is the best free markdown editor, bar none. And you can use this to edit the wiki. You can use this to edit readmes. You can use it to edit any markdown files. And since you're going to be editing markdown files as a career developer, I think downloading Markdown is a very important download. After that, you will want, this is optional, but some people want a GUI Slack client, and we use Slack to do chatting. I use the Slack client on the web, but if you want to have a GUI application, Brew's got you covered. You could also install OBS, which is screen sharing and streaming software. That one's actually pretty good too. And finally, you can install VirtualBox. Brewcast install VirtualBox, which is incredibly important, essential for this project. As you can see, Brew has you covered for almost every program in the onboarding process, and that's why I feel like it's very important. So now I'm going to take you over to an example workflow to install OBS. Alright. So the first step is you want to search Brewcast to see if it even has OBS. So you search. It found an exact match, OBS. Now the problem is this the OBS that we're looking for? Is this the video software we're looking for? So what we do is brew cask info OBS. It's OBS version 20. It's from the OBS project, which looks like exactly what I need it to be. And I don't see any dependencies. So this looks like exactly what we need to do. After that, we do brew cask install OBS. Satisfying the dependencies, it's downloading it. It's kind of a medium range download. Alright, it's verifying that that is the OBS that we need. And now it wants a system password. Just enter the password you used to unlock your Mac. Alright, I entered the password successfully, and now OBS was successfully installed. So, how do we know that OBS was successfully installed? We do brew cask list, and it should be right there, right under MacVim. So that's good. But how do we access it? And this is a very common problem in Homebrew. For me, I use Launchpad, which is you use 5 fingers to swipe together on your trackpad. And right there you will see OBS with siphon inject, which is used with OBS. Now this is time that I could actually show you a little tip. So as you can see, I have my programs organized. And you could also see noticeably that I have a Homebrew file. And that's where I put all my brew cask files in one area, so I could separate what I download with Homebrew and what I download with the App Store or other applications off the internet. This is incredibly important because it just helps uninstalling and installing packages when you know what you installed and what you uninstalled. So, alright. So let's say we don't like that we have OBS. I don't like OBS. I've used it, and let's say I don't like it. Alright, so we do brew cask uninstall OBS, and it will take care of uninstalling the package for you. It will take care of everything, removing the package, making sure it doesn't exist, taking care of the trash, everything. That's why I like Homebrew. So right now it's uninstalling the package. It takes a while, a little bit. It's installing siphon inject, and it should finish up right now. So it's gone. So like I mentioned before, it still keeps the cache just in case you want to install OBS again. So let's say you don't want the cache because OBS is a pretty hefty program. You do brew cask cleanup, and like I said, you freed 84 megabytes of disk space, which is very important. So yeah, that is pretty much the basics of using Homebrew on the Mac for the BreazeHome onboarding. I hope you enjoyed the video. This is a very important piece of software that I use every day, and as a developer, I find it incredibly invaluable. And of course, it helped me out tremendously with onboarding on BreazeHome. A great example, and I'll leave you with this, is a lot of people were having problems with downloading VirtualBox for the Mac. They followed the instructions on the wiki. They downloaded the right version on the wiki. They did everything, but VirtualBox was not working. What was the issue? With me, I've always used Homebrew, so I use brew cask install VirtualBox. Homebrew took care of it for me. Homebrew gave me the newest version of VirtualBox, and I had no problems. The reason why they had an issue is because they were installing an old version of VirtualBox, and I had the newest version, so I had no issues. So this is another reason why Homebrew is essential for onboarding in this project with MacBooks. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm going to leave you with this. I know how to screen record, I know how to do the command line, I know Vim. If you want any tutorials on what I just mentioned, or Python in general or anything, feel free to let me know in Slack or send me an email. I love teaching about the vast amount of knowledge that I have accumulated. Hope you guys have a good day.